Okay, ladies and gentlemen, friends and neighbors, boys and girls, let's talk about Unit 7, Lesson 2, activity. This is probably one of the most important activities that we will do this semester, certainly this term. What we're going to do is we're going to fill in the unit circle below, labeling the positive and negative angles in degrees and the corresponding coordinates of each point. So this is a follow-up from what we did yesterday. Yesterday we did lesson 2. This is lesson 2 activity. And what we're going to do is I'm going to label the angles, and then we're going to find the coordinates. So we're going to do positive angles first, going this direction. This is going to be 30. I have it marked. And then this is just going to be 45, 60, 90. Well, and this angle we know is 30, so this angle is going to be 120. This guy is 60. So this guy right here is going to be 150. And then if I take this angle right here, which is 45, plus 90 is 135. This is 150. This angle is going to be 180. Straight line. This angle here is going to be 180 plus 30, which is 210. Since this angle here is 45 degrees, 180 plus 45 is 225. This angle here is 60. 180 plus 60 is 240. And this angle is 270. 90, 90, 90. 3 times 90. This angle here is going to be 300. 270 plus 30. 270 plus 45 is going to be 315. 270 plus 60 is going to be 330. And now we're back at 360 here. Keep in mind we started at 0 as well. These are going to be very important angles as we go. If I'm going to label the negative angles, we're going to label the negative angles in blue. And negative angles go clockwise. Let's do those in blue. This guy is going to be 30, negative 30. This is going to be negative 45, negative 60, negative 90. And we're going to keep going in that fashion all the way around the circle. Negative 120, negative 135, negative 150, and negative 180. See if I can't get him in there. I think I can. This rascal here is going to be negative 210, 180 plus 30. This will be negative 225, 180 plus 45, both negative. This dude right here is going to be negative 240 and negative 270, and you kind of get the idea. Negative 300, negative 315, negative 3630, sorry, and then this guy here is going to be negative 360, going that direction. So label the angles are not bad. You just have to remember that the angles are going to go multiples of 30 or multiples of 45, multiples of 30 or 45, 45, 90, 135, 180. These are your multiples of 45, green. You can make that more geometrically pleasant, if you will. Those are your multiples of 45, and then the multiples of 30. Well, then you have your multiples of 60, 60, 60, 60, 60, 60, 60, And you have your multiples of 30. 30, oh, 60, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30. So the 30s are repeated at the 90s and the 60s, multiples of 30. What's most important, most students can get the angle measurements. You have to understand the lesson, not just the activity, where we talked about angles. I'll flip back to that lesson where we talked about angles, sweeping counterclockwise positive angles and negative angles, sweeping counterclockwise negative angles, and positive angles. Infinitely large, sweeping counterclockwise. You have to understand that. Okay. Now we're going to figure out what the coordinates of these terminal points are. These coordinates of these terminal points are going to be extremely important. The corresponding coordinates of each point, of each of these terminal points. And to do that, then I need to remember the properties of 45, 45, 90, the properties of 30, 60, 90 triangles. And I need to remember about what the heck goes on in XY land. In XY land, we got quadrant 1, X and both Y's are both positive. I got quadrant 2. The X is less than 0. The Y is greater than 0. Here in quadrant 1, X is greater than 0 and Y's are greater than 0. And I have a quadrant 3, we know. Quadrant 3, the X's are less than 0. And this is just basic 5th grade math here. X's and Y's both are less than 0. In quadrant 4 over here, what do you get? You get the X's are greater than 0 and the Y's are less than 0. We know that. You can't forget that. And then we're going back to those previous lessons, just like I came up with this point yesterday. This is square root of 3 over 2, because this is a unit circle where this point here is given. This is a unit circle where the radii, all of these radii are 1. The radius of the circle is 1. So right away I'm going to label the terminal points at 90, 180, 270. Well, this point is 1, 0. This point here has to be 0, 1. This point is negative 1, 0. And this point is 0, negative 1. Those are the easy points. All of the radii are 1. So if I look at any multiple of 30 or any multiple of 60, it's going to be easy to come up with those points. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to refer to what I've done. Oh my goodness, we've been doing this for a while. Just blank page. If I have a 30, 60, 90, where this is 30 and this is 60 and that's 1, this guy is 1/2, this guy is square root of 3 over 2. That's basic properties of 30, 60, 90. Short leg is 1/2, long leg is square root of 3 over 2. And then I'm going to remember this. If I have an isosceles right triangle, where the legs are the same and the hypotenuse are 1. We did this before. What are the lengths of the legs? Square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2. There's no use in reviewing this lesson. I think we had three topics or 3 discussions about these properties of 30, 60, 90s. And we did say during those lessons how daggone 5-star they were. Extremely important. All of you have been studying these properties since geometry. Just talked to the junior high geometry teacher yesterday, and that's what she's talking about right now, properties of 30, 60, 90, and 45, 45, 90s. You can't forget this, and when we did this, I said, hey, you cannot forget this. This is extreme 5-star. So we're going to use that filling out our unit circle. We're going to use this fact, and we're going to use the fact of where X and Y's are positive. So I'm going to go to this point right here, this terminal point there. Well, that's a 30, 60, 90 if I look very closely at that. That's a 30, 60, 90. The short leg is what? The short leg is 1/2. What's the long leg? Square root of 3 over 2. This is a square root of 3. Thank you very much. Write that a little bit better, Lee. Oh, square root of 3 over 2. Oh, well, this is square root of 3 over 2, 1/2. Yeah, because this was the y was the short leg. Here, the x is the short leg on this 30, 60, 90. If this degree right here is 60, then this guy is 30. What other ones can you? Well, let me tell you. If this is 60 and this is 120, this point is a reflection of this point. So it's going to have the same y value, square root of 3 over 2, and the x value is going to be negative 1/2. Because why? Because I'm in quadrant 2. Hello? Hello? I'm not going to fill in all the 30, 60, 90s, but I'll do another one. What if I'm down here at this point right here? And I'm at 210 degrees. Well, what, true or false? If this is 210, what's the measure of that? Oh, this is 30. And we did this earlier in the week. If that's a 30, that small one is a 30-degree angle. Well, this is going to be a 30, 60, 90. Well, what's the short leg? The short leg here is the y value, which is going to be 1/2. The long leg is the x value, which was square root of 3 over 2. Oh, but wait! I'm in quadrant 3. Both of those guys have to be negative. Holy mackerel. And then if I look over here at this point right here, this point here is going to be a reflection of that point against about the y axis. So the y value is going to be the same, negative 1/2, but the x value is going to be square root of 3 over 2. Well, we knew that because x has to be positive. Well, now I've got enough of the 30, 60, 90s that I think you can fill in this point, and you can fill in this point, and you can fill in this point. That's for you to do. I do have the terminal points of the 45s, the multiples of 45. I have the 90, but I need the 45. I need the 135. I need the 225. I need the, well, I have the 270. I need the 350. So what am I going to do? Well, let's look at this triangle right here. Well, what do you know? This is the triangle I'm looking at here. Because true or false, if this angle here is 135, which it is, then this angle here is 45 degrees. Oh, I can't see the yellow. Okay, then make it blue. Then that angle is 45, and I'm looking at a 45, 45, 90 with hypotenuse in 1, and I go to remember my notes about 30, 60, 90 where the hypotenuse is 1, or 45, 45, 90 where the hypotenuse is 1. Both of the legs are square root of 2 over 2. Both legs. So I can come back here. Both of these legs are square root of 2 over 2. Square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2. But wait, I'm in quadrant 2. The x's are negative and the y's are positive. You mean to tell me all of these points that are multiples of 45 are square root of 2 over 2? Square root of 2 over... Yes, I am telling you that. X's both are positive. What about down here? Oh, you mean this is square root of 2 over 2? Square root of 2 over... Yes, I do mean that. Why? Because of this 45. If this is 225, this is 45. And again, I'm looking at another 45, 45, 90 with the hypotenuse of 1. So it has to be square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2. The legs, the x's and the y's. But hey, I'm in quadrant 3. So guess what? They're both negative. Then I would bet you $5 to a donut that you would be able to figure this guy out. This is square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2, but it has a negative y and a positive x. Here's a filled out unit circle. I have one already filled out with all the coordinates. I'm going to zoom to that. And what I want you to do then is pause the video. You can zoom in on that. I will zoom in on it a little bit. And what you need to do, ladies and gentlemen, is pause that video, because you're going to, and there's the upper half. You need to, at this point, pause the video. And I'm going to go to this bottom half and pause the video. Those have all filled out. You need a correctly filled out unit circle, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to do one more thing before we end this lesson. And I'm going to go to a couple difficult problems here that uses this unit circle. First of all, that will be tomorrow. I'm going to look at the second part of this activity that you're going to have to fill out on your own. And this is, use the labeling on the unit circle. What labeling, I mean, use the coordinates. Of the terminal points. To find all these values. Do not use a calculator. Do not use a calculator. Use a calculator to answer your question. But what you need here is very simply, you need two things to figure this out. You need a filled out unit circle, which I have right here. Zoom out on that bad boy. You need that unit circle, and guess what else you need? You need these definitions that we also did yesterday. You need these definitions. And with these definitions, what's the cosine? What's the cosine? Is the x. The cosine of value is x. The sine is the y. The tangent is the y over x. The secant is the 1 over the x. The cosecant is 1 over the y. The cotangent is x over y. Let's use these 6 steps. Do you need to have these memorized? Oh, heavens, yes. Cosine of an angle is the x value of the terminal point. Let's go back to here. Say I want the cosine of 90. I can't take the cosine of 9. That doesn't fit the geometric. Yes, we are no longer, we've diverged from the geometric definitions of the trigonometric ratios, and we have entered the world of trigonometry, where we use these definitions. The cosine of an angle is simply the x value of the terminal point of that angle. And if I go back here and if I want to know cosine of 90, I have to go to 90 degrees and look at the x value. So I'm going to go back to my unit circle. I'm going to go to 90 degrees. What's the x value is 0. So your cosine of 90 is, cosine of 90 is 0. Because that's the x value. What's the cosine of negative 30? We're going to work on some of these tomorrow. The cosine of negative 30 is the x value of the terminal point of negative 30 degrees. I go to negative 30 degrees, bam, right here it is. I go to negative 30, here's negative 30. What's the x value? Square root of 3 over 2. So this value right here is going to be square root of 3 over 2, positive. We're going to finish this activity tomorrow. But I challenge you with filling this out today. Moreover, I challenge you, can you take a blank unit circle and fill in these coordinates? If you can't, you will fail. You need to be able to take a blank unit circle and fill in the coordinates. Bam, done. Story over. Fill in the angle measures, the positives and the negatives, and all of the points. I'm going to end this video, and I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you to donate $5 to the cause. To the cause of remembering the unit circle.